My caregiver didn't just steal money. She refinanced my home, forged my name, and almost had a court declare me incompetent. It started with a fall in my bathroom, and the worst part is, I let her get close enough to do it. I'm Margaret Chen, 73 years old, and I'm about to tell you something that still makes my hands shake. The woman I trusted with my medication, my meals, my money, she opened accounts, signed loans, and spoke to banks and lenders as me. 6 months ago, I fell in my bathroom. My son David lives in Seattle. I'm here in Phoenix, and he panicked. "Mom, you need help," he said over FaceTime, his face tight with worry. "I found someone. Her name is Sandra. She has great reviews. She'll move in next week." Sandra Morales arrived on a Tuesday afternoon, 52 years old, warm smile, gentle hands. She spoke softly, called me Mrs. Chen, and made the most incredible chicken soup I'd tasted since my late husband died. Within 2 weeks, I couldn't imagine life without her. "Let me handle your bills, Mrs. Chen," she offered one evening as I struggled with my reading glasses and a stack of envelopes. "You shouldn't stress about these things. I'll make sure everything gets paid on time." I hesitated for maybe 5 seconds. Then I handed her my checkbook. That was my first mistake, but not my last. Sandra became everything. She drove me to doctor appointments, picked up prescriptions, grocery shopped, cleaned. When my arthritis flared up so badly I could barely hold a pen, she offered to help me sign documents. "Just guide my hand, Mrs. Chen. I'll do the writing. Your signature will still be legally yours." Does that sound insane now? Of course it does. But when you're 73, in pain, and someone is spooning soup into your mouth with the patience of a saint, you trust them. You trust them with everything. About 3 months later, I noticed my bank statements looked thin. I mentioned it to Sandra. "Oh, Mrs. Chen, don't worry," she said, patting my hand. "I moved some money into a high-yield savings account for you. You're earning more interest now. I'll show you the paperwork this weekend." She never did show me, and I never asked again. Why? Because that same week, I had a small stroke. They called it mild, but it left me foggy and exhausted. I couldn't remember conversations. I'd forget what day it was. Medical records piled up. One phrase kept appearing: cognitive decline. Words I didn't understand then, but words that would destroy me later. Sandra was there through it all, holding my hand in the hospital, bringing me books I could no longer focus on reading. "You're like the daughter I never had," I told her one night, tears in my eyes. "And you're the mother I lost," she whispered back. I believed her. God help me. I believed every word. But Sandra was doing something else during those months. Something I didn't see because I was too tired, too confused, too grateful. She started controlling everything. She controlled my calls. She delayed my mail. She scheduled appointments I didn't understand. And she signed me in. When my neighbor tried to visit, Sandra met her at the door. "She's not up for visitors, doctor's orders." I was being isolated, and I didn't even know it. Back then, it sounded like care. Now, I know it was control. And I didn't realize it until the night I heard her say my name like a business deal. The unraveling began with a phone call I wasn't supposed to hear. It was 2 a.m., and I'd woken up thirsty. As I shuffled toward the kitchen, I heard Sandra's voice from her room. Her voice was flat, businesslike, impatient. "No, the account's not in her name anymore. I told you I have power of attorney. The house is next. She's not going to last much longer anyway." The glass slipped one sharp crack on tile. For the first time, she didn't sound worried. She sounded annoyed. Sandra appeared in seconds. "Mrs. Chen, are you okay? Did you hurt yourself?" I stared at her, really looked at her for the first time in months. Her eyes weren't warm. They were calculating, cold. "I heard you," I whispered. Her face didn't change. "You're confused, Mrs. Chen. It's the medication. Let's get you back to bed." But I wasn't confused. Not anymore. The fog lifted like someone had ripped open curtains in a dark room. That's when I started checking what I could. Paper, mail, statements, anything she couldn't rewrite in real time. Credit card bills for purchases I didn't make. A new car in the driveway. Sandra said it was temporary, yet it was financed in my name. Her sister visiting and calling her by a different name entirely. Paperwork I barely remembered approving. Then I found a document with my signature, and I knew I was in trouble. She had my ID, my mail, my passwords, everything you need to become someone on paper. When David called for our weekly video chat, I tried to tell him, but Sandra was right there, smiling, adjusting the camera. "Your mum's a little tired today. Maybe we should keep this short? Mom, are you okay?" David's face filled the screen, worried. He paused, like he was listening for someone else in the room. "You seem..." rehearsed. I opened my mouth. Sandra's hand squeezed my shoulder, hard. "I'm fine, honey. Just tired. Sandra takes such good care of me." After David hung up, Sandra's smile disappeared. "Mrs. Chen, I think you need to rest more. All this confusion isn't good for your blood pressure. Maybe we should increase your medication." That night, I pretended to take my pills. I hid them under my tongue, spit them out when she left. I needed my mind back, and for the first time in weeks, my mind started to clear. The next morning, while Sandra was out running errands, which I now realized meant draining my accounts, I called David. My voice shook. "Come home. Don't tell anyone. Just come." He arrived 2 days later, unannounced. Sandra wasn't expecting him. When he walked through the door, I saw her face go pale. "David, what a surprise. Your mum didn't tell me you were..." "Mum, show me your bank statements," David said, ignoring her completely. "David, your mother isn't well. She gets confused about finances. That's why I've been..." "Show me the statements." What we found didn't just shock me, it rewrote my life. $340,000 gone. A new mortgage on my house, credit cards maxed out. A $75,000 car loan, jewelry purchases, a timeshare in Cabo, all in my name, forged. Then David found something that made my blood run cold. Sandra had already filed a petition to be named my legal guardian. Power of attorney let her act for me. Guardianship would let a court hand over the wheel of my entire life. She had a doctor's statement from a doctor I'd never met. An evaluation I never knew happened, saying I was mentally incompetent. She was 3 weeks away from having complete control of everything, including the authority to put me in a nursing home and sell my house without my permission. That's when I realized the trap was already built. "You were going to lock me away," I said, my voice breaking. "You were going to erase me." Sandra didn't even try to deny it. She just grabbed her purse and headed for the door. "You can't prove any of this. That signature is legally yours. The power of attorney is valid. Good luck explaining to a court that you're competent when you have documented memory loss and medical records showing cognitive decline." David called the police. They came, they took statements, they looked at me like a case file. The detective was kind but blunt. "Mrs. Chen, these cases are very difficult to prosecute. Elder financial abuse often comes down to documentation. With your medical history, proving you didn't authorize these transactions will be challenging." Sandra was arrested. She posted bail within 24 hours. The house? I had to sell it to pay off the mortgage she'd taken out, the home where I'd lived for 47 years. I didn't just lose a building, I lost my life map. Every room held a memory, my children's heights marked on the kitchen doorframe, the garden where my husband proposed. Gone. I live with David now, in Seattle. It rains here most days. I don't know my neighbors. My entire life, my independence, my dignity, my sense of safety was stolen by a woman who made me chicken soup and called me like a mother. Last week, David showed me something online, a GoFundMe page. Sandra Morales asking for donations to fight false accusations from an elderly woman with dementia who doesn't remember authorizing financial transactions. People have donated hundreds of dollars. They believe her. Do you know what haunts me most? It's not the money. It's not even losing my home. It's the moment I told her she was like a daughter. The way she hugged me. The way I felt safe. I handed her my whole life, and she took it without a second thought. David keeps saying it's not my fault. The detective said these scammers are sophisticated, that they target vulnerable seniors, that I'm not the first and won't be the last. There's even a term for it, caregiver exploitation. But here's what I want you to understand. She didn't break into my house. I invited her in. She didn't steal my checkbook. I gave it to her. Every single step of the way, I made it easy for her because I was lonely, scared, and in pain. And that's exactly what she was counting on. So I'm asking you to do something right now. If you have an aging parent, a grandparent, someone who lives alone with a caregiver, check on them, not just a phone call. Here's what you need to do. Review their bank and credit card statements monthly. With them, not for them. Set up transaction alerts and freeze their credit if needed. Never allow any caregiver to control mail, phone, access, and finances all at once. Require dual approval for large transfers, family plus bank verification. Verify any doctor evaluation or court paperwork immediately. Guardianship can happen fast because I trusted Sandra with my pills, my bills, and my life, and she took everything. Was I wrong to trust her, or was she just that good at being a monster? Tell me in the comments, because even now, I still don't know the answer.